Welcome to Adjusting Your Heart. I'm Dr. Chua, and today we're going to talk about coping with grief. Actually, this was a topic suggested by one of our viewers and also a good friend who just recently lost her dad. So Heidi said, Ate Jeanette, can you do a topic on grief? So Heidi, this is for you, as well as I dedicate this to all those who lost a loved one during this pandemic. Whether the cause might be the COVID-19 virus or a lingering illness, losing a loved one is very difficult, especially in this time. If the death is due to the COVID-19 virus, it's so heartbreaking that you can't even take care of your loved one who is in the hospital. There can't be a wake. The deceased has to be cremated immediately. So that leaves a hole in our hearts. So I pray that this video will be able to help all of you and your friends who are grieving at this time. My first point is go through the grieving process. Dr. Kubler-Ross popularized the 5 stages of grief. And this is applicable to all types of trials, whether it's somebody finding out that he has cancer, or maybe somebody died in the family, a breakup. All of the 5 stages can be applied. The first stage would be denial. Upon hearing that bad news, that person would say, no, this is not happening to me. This is not real. Or, how could I have cancer? I live a healthy life. I'm so young. Or, I just talked to him or her last night. How can he be dead? And this, sometimes because of denial, these people would just engross themselves into work, into gambling, vices like drinking, taking drugs for comfort. The second stage is anger. Why me? It's not fair. Sometimes it's also anger towards the deceased. He or she should have taken of himself better. I already told him not to eat sweets. He's diabetic. Sometimes it's anger towards the physician. We say that the doctor didn't give him the best treatment. Or sometimes we blame the family member. Like, you didn't take care of dad very well. Sometimes it's also anger towards self. Like, I should have taken good care of dad better. Or I should have spent more time with him. And sometimes the anger is towards God. Why did you let this happen, God? So that's the second stage. First stage is denial. Second is anger. The third will be bargaining. This is a time wherein a person bargains with God. Lord, if you will heal me, I'm going to donate a lot of money to the church. Or Lord, if you heal my mom or my dad, I'll become a better person. And the fourth stage would be depression. Like, I miss my loved one. I can't go on. You feel lost. You can't imagine life without that person. You feel numbed. You can't eat. You can't sleep. You can't even go to work. And the fifth stage would be acceptance, in which it hurts, but I can't change the reality that he or she is gone, so I might as well prepare for it. People grieve in different ways, and you might go through Dr. Kubler-Ross's 5 stages of grief in a different order, but the most important thing is to reach acceptance, the 5th stage. The length and the intensity of the grief will depend on your relationship with that person. The more, of course, the closer you are with that person, the more intense the grief, the longer the time of grieving. And my friends, it's okay not to be okay in this time. If you feel like crying, you just cry. Tears are actually God's gift to us They're very therapeutic. It cleanses our eyes. And have you noticed that whenever we cry, afterwards we feel better? So it's okay. It's okay to cry. And though it hurts us, we could thank God for the chance that we spent so many years with this person, let's say 30 years, 50 years, and thank God for the wonderful memories. Of course, it will be bittersweet as we look at the photo album, as we remember the happy memories. On one hand, we are comforted, but on one hand, we miss that person. That is very normal. And it depends if you want to keep everything in a box or you just want to display it around the room or leave everything as is. It depends on you. Some people find it very therapeutic or helpful to write in a journal, like every day, like, oh, I miss my granddad, or I miss my wife, the feelings. Okay. Or you might write a letter if you feel that you have some unfinished business with that departed loved one. You could write a letter pointing out all the positive things about this person, maybe some of the negative things that happened between you, some of the fights. You could say you're sorry, and finally you can say your goodbye. And after writing that letter, you have the option of tearing it, you have the option of keeping that, or you have the option of signing it with just a pseudonym, okay, or your initials, and just tying that letter in a balloon and just to let it go. And visiting the cemetery, okay, going to that person's gravesite, it will also heal us. So go through the grieving process, whatever works for you. But you have to undergo through all of this so that gradually your heart would heal. And second would be is to get support from family and friends. It's okay if you want to grieve alone, but it will be helpful to have good friends and relatives who love you by your side, especially the first few weeks. That's why it's very helpful if we could have a wake, but which we can't have right now because of the pandemic. Because if you notice, during the wake, a lot of friends would come, our relatives, and people would tell me that they feel comforted, even though of course they're tired because they have to talk, they have to tell the people again and again what happened. But the more they talk, the more they are healed. And they feel loved because knowing that a lot of people love the one who departed and also love their family. And it's a time that they talk about wonderful memories. Like there was one wake I went to wherein the one who died was very young. He died in his late 20s. And the mom was telling me how comforted that she was when a lot of people who came, they said good things about her son, which she didn't even know about. And people, of course, when they come to the wake, they, of course, cry together with the bereaved family member, and that helps. And that's what also the Bible would advocate. Mourn with those who mourn. And remember how Jesus wept when he went to his friend Lazarus because his friend Lazarus died. He saw a lot of people crying. He did not stop them from crying. He cried with them. So it is okay. That's why being surrounded with family and friends who care helps a lot. And the first death anniversary, the first Christmas, the first birthday, the first wedding anniversary without this person hurts a lot. It's very painful. So this will be a good time to just call a friend or a relative who loves you. You can just be with that person. And you don't feel guilty that you're bothering them, because if these are really good friends and relatives, they would be honored and they will be more than willing to spend the time with you. And of course, what we can do is, if you don't want to bother the same person again and again, you could have several friends. Let's say for Monday, you call up a certain friend, on Tuesday, a certain relative, and you could just rotate them so that you won't feel embarrassed to keep on calling the same person again and again. And this is also one way we treasure those who are still alive, by keeping in touch with them. So my first point is to go through the grieving process. The second is to get support from family and friends. And the third is to go on with your life. Conrad Lawrence observed the grief-like behavior of a gray-lag goose who was separated from its mate. You know what that goose did? This goose kept flying great distances to find his partner. He would go to places that they've been together, thinking that his partner might be there. And you know what? The sad thing is, eventually, the one who's searching gets lost or succumbs to an accident. And one time in the Montreal Zoo, one of the dolphins refused to eat after its mate died. So if animals can feel lost when their mate leave them, how much more human beings like us? And yet we have to be brave and to go on with our lives. Please do not attempt suicide because you just want to be with a person who died. Remember, the one who just died loved you. He or she would want you to go on with your life, to take good care of yourself, to take care of the kids, to take care of your grandkids. And he or she wants you to be strong and to be happy, and killing yourself won't bring that person back. So allow time, allow God to heal your heart. And early on in our marriage, I already told Hans that if one day I die, he can remarry after 1 year. That's because I want somebody to take care of him after I'm gone. And one way we can go on with life is to take good care of ourselves, like living a more healthy lifestyle. It's time maybe for you to try out a new hobby. Yeah, it hurts when your partner or somebody you love is no longer there. But these are things that can also help us or distract us, like learning a new hobby, traveling again with friends, learning some new skills. It doesn't mean when we go on with our life, we forget the deceased loved one. He or she will always be in our hearts, and we can keep his or her memory alive. Like we could make a photo book, we could set a foundation in his or her name to help the less fortunate. Maybe we could keep some of his favorite things and just give the rest away. And this is what Rob Anderson said when he lost his child. He said, "You will always have the love you have for your child. But since you no longer can give it directly to him, give it away to others. Spread your love around." And that's what he did. And you know what? God promised one thing, that he will heal the brokenhearted and he will bind up their wounds. God understands your pain more than anyone else. Because remember, he gave his one and only son Jesus for us to die on the cross for our sins. And he promised an abundant life, a meaningful life for people who would believe in Jesus, and eternal life. Remember, life on earth is only temporary. This pandemic shows us that. But you know what? The good news is, heaven is a place of no more pain, no more tears, no more suffering. We can be with God forever. And that is our hope and comfort in times of grief. And a friend's touching eulogy of her stepdad echoes this sentiment. She wrote in her Facebook page about how this stepdad loved her mom, and she was thanking him for the good times that they had. They were able to travel together. Her stepdad would massage her mom's feet whenever she's tired. And she said that even though we missed you very much right now, we know that because you also believed in Jesus, one day we will meet again in heaven. And my friends, that's what is comforting to her and her family. So as you go through the grieving process, get the support of your family and friends. Go on with your life. I pray that God will heal your heart. That God and time would ease the pain of losing a loved one. And if you want us to pray for you, please leave a comment below. And do share this video with those who lost a loved one. You may subscribe and click on the bell button so that you would be notified once our new video is out by next Friday afternoon. So again, my condolences to all the bereaved family members. May God comfort.